This is John Cola with GrowingYourGreens.com. They have another exciting episode for you, and we're here in Houston, Texas. Yes, the Lone Star State. Actually, I'm actually sweating because I'm not used to the high humidity here, but it's definitely nice weather we've been having. And Houston is one of the best places to actually grow a garden because you can grow year-round. Just the other day, I actually saw a garden that had papaya trees in the front yard, growing things like dinosaur kale, red Russian kale, and a whole bunch of other cool herbs and things like that. So why I'm here today is because, as you can see, we're just in suburbia. There's just lawns and, lawns and lawns and lawns, and not many people are growing their food here. So it's my mission to help spread the message of growing food in your front yard, your backyard, wherever you can. And my friend's place here that I'm visiting today is currently renting, so he can't just dig up the whole front yard and plant a garden, and maybe he can't even dig up and plant a garden in the backyard. But what we're gonna make today is a portable raised bed garden out of a commonly used and thrown out resource that may be available to you. So anyways, actually, let's go sit on the stoop and share with you more about how we're gonna make a garden today. Now I'm sitting on the stoop, and I like that word because I don't think we have too many stoops in California, but we got a stoop here, and that's like the front stairs to the house, to the landing or something like that. But anyways, now I'm going to share with you guys what I'm going to be using to build this raised bed, because once again, he's renting and he can't be digging up the garden and all this kind of stuff. So building a raised bed like I'm going to show you guys today is an excellent way, whether you rent, whether you own, whether you have committal issues, because this is not a big commitment, because you can literally lift these guys up and move your garden wherever. Plus, there's so much flexibility in making a garden like this because you can arrange it in any shape you would like. Plus, you can move these to get more sun, to get less sun. If you don't like where you put it, you can move it around. So this is a really cool way to garden. This is the first time I set up a garden like this because, wherever I go, whenever I'm looking for a place to garden and how to grow, I'm taking many factors into consideration. Okay, how much money does he have to spend to buy materials to make the raised beds? Can he buy wood? Can he use concrete? Are there any resources locally available that he could use for free or inexpensive, to build a garden? Because I always want people to be able to grow a garden the most affordably and meet their specific needs. So his need was hey John, I might move in a little bit. I don't want to be tied down. I don't want to mess up the yard for the owners or whatever. So this is the least non-committal way, but to get excellent growing results that we're going to use. And what that simply is these guys. We got these little plastic bins here. So these plastic bins is what the produce comes shipped into different grocery stores. I've seen them oftentimes to the back of the Mexican restaurants because they get tomatillos and onions, or I go to the wholesale produce terminals and they often just have these laying around that they're gonna throw away. But these are great to reuse. You could also use something like the milk crates that the milk comes in. Of course, you shouldn't be stealing them. You should try to buy them or ask them what they do with them when they're used up or whatever. And these are the crates. So these crates are actually particularly good because the holes are actually quite small, so that means there's not going to be a whole lot of dirt running out of it. And if you are concerned about, and you do get a crate that has larger holes, like the milk crate size holes are a lot larger, if you get more coconut coir or peat moss in your mix, it'll tend to stick together and clump. But even then, it still might run out, so then you can line it with some landscape fabric, maybe some newspaper or cardboard, which will help contain the soil in a little bit better. Or you could use something like the coconut coir kind of sheeting stuff to keep the soil in there. So there's options to keep the soil in if you think you need that. In this case, the holes are so close together, I don't think we really need that, and if the soil comes out, just put it back in. The other thing is that you do need some drainage in these. It just can't be solid bottoms, and you can't just use some plastic storage crates with no holes, because that's not going to work good. Now the main benefit to using this is that these were free 99, as I like to say. So he got these for free. And we'll just be able to literally fill these up with a good soil mix and literally just start planting in it. By far, soil is the number one thing that you want to pay attention to, and that's where you want to definitely put your money. If you don't put your money in the raised bed or the place that's going to hold the soil, you want to put your money in the soil, because the quality of the soil you use is the quality of the plants that you're going to grow in. I mean, everything that the plant comes from the soil because it pulls the nutrients out of the soil. Next, what we're going to do is we're going to go ahead and pick up the soil. We're going to go ahead and get the soil before we get the plants, because the soil is much more important than the plants you grow, although you do want to plant the plants that are in season that can be grown at this time, and we'll talk more about that in a little bit. So I think next, I found this cool local place that you guys saw that was mentioned last episode with Jacob, and we're gonna go to the ground up to get a good vegan compost mix, and actually it's called the raised bed mix with a whole bunch of other good stuff. So I guess next, get some compost. Now we're getting the soil. Now the soil is the #1 key component to grow a successful garden, thanks to Jacob of the Houston Urban Farm Co. That's HoustonUrbanFarmCO.com. He led me to this place here. It's called The Ground Up, and they have Beyond Organic mixes. So I'm really happy they actually have a vegan, plant-based mix that they mix in all kinds of other things too to make the perfect raised bed garden mix. So that's what we're here to do today, and it's kind of uncommon for them because most people buy by the bag, which is really expensive, but you can come here and buy it by the yard or half yard. And I recommend if you come here to buy it by the yard, because the half yard in most places would sell it to you for 50% of the price of the full yard, but they charge 70% of the full price, so definitely by the yard is the best. So what we're doing today is we're buying it by the yard, and we're gonna have them dump it on a big tarp and actually into the little containers that we're growing in. So actually, I think they're doing that now. Let's head over there and check it out. This is where they have all their different mixes. They have different mulches and different vegan compost, but what we're getting today is the raised bed mix. And that's what I recommend if you're growing in a raised bed or even a container. This would be a good mixture to use. Now, when I buy this stuff in California, they're used to me at my place, Sonoma Compost. So if you're in California, Northern California, check my past videos on that. But here, most people, when they buy up here, they buy it in bulk, by the half yard or by the full yard, and you just usually drive up with your truck and they dump it in the truck and you drive off. That's the best way to do it. Unfortunately, we do not have a truck today, so we're gonna do it a little bit differently. So what I do in California, I just get a big tarp and I tell the guys, okay guys, dump the load on my tarp, and then I'll worry about bagging it up in a little feed sack bags, which I also have a video on where I transport half a cubic yard in my Volkswagen Golf. And here, that's a little bit new concept to them, because I guess most people don't garden like John Kohler does, and most people have trucks that are doing this stuff. So we have an SUV, and we're gonna haul the compost in the SUV. And so the idea here was to lay out the tarp like I do in California, and then we're gonna lay out the little bins that we're growing in, and then they're supposed to dump all the compost into the bins and on top of the tarp, and we'll brush it off into each bin, pick up the bin, put it in the car, and then any leftover residues are going to be in the tarp. We'll fold that up and then take that with us also. But instead they had the bright idea to actually just shovel it from the loader into the bin, so that's what they're doing now. So let's check it out. As you can see, we got the loader here, and the guys were helping us fill this stuff up, but they're definitely not used to doing this, and they didn't seem too friendly when they were helping us out. While I do like the soil, I definitely don't like the customer service here. I thought they could be a lot more pleasant and nice, helping us out with all this stuff. So we got about half of this stuff loaded, and we're gonna fill up more, but unfortunately it looks like we got a lot of extra compost that we may not be able to take with us. So we're gonna diligently work at getting these into the SUV and see how much more we can take. We got 9 of the 12 bins in here. It's working very well. Once again, we got abandoned by the people that are helping us out, but that's all right, because we'd rather do it ourselves. And they just, in my opinion, they should have took our advice. And if you come here, demand to do it like I'm going to tell you now, because it's going to be far more efficient than the way we did it. So what you want to do is you want to make sure you have 2 nice tarps, one to protect the back of your car, because let me tell you, dirt will get everywhere. It's like trying to have sex on the beach and all that sand, right? So dirt's gonna get everywhere, so get a nice tarp. We were gonna use sheets, but I highly discouraged against that and got the tarp, and we're definitely glad we did, because the dirt would have got everywhere. So you're gonna have 1 tarp to protect your car, 1 tarp on the ground, and set these bins up on the tarp, and then that way you're gonna get all the dirt instead of having it fall all over everywhere. It's gonna make it much more manageable. If you don't have the bins to put the soil in like we did today, then I encourage you guys to go buy a feed store and get the empty feed sack bags. That's gonna be the best way to fill the soil up and then put in your car to be able to transport it back home. Or of course, rent a truck, get a truck, find a friend with a truck. It'll probably make this a lot easier. Make sure you lift with your legs and not your back. We filled up our 12 little totes here and even 1 5-gallon bucket. But one of my mottos is no soil left behind. Now, if you go to buy this soil at a local nursery, it's like, $10 for 1 or 2 square feet. but we got all this soil that we paid for that they just dumped on the ground. So now what we're doing is actually we're shoveling all this stuff up into the tarp here so that we can take it. We're gonna bunch the tarp up and then take that with us, because you know what? Every 1 to 2 cubic feet of this stuff is worth 10 bucks. And you know, there's no substitute for soil in your garden. Using the best soil is the #1 key to success, in my opinion. Now we're all loaded up, and let me tell you, this is the easiest way to build a raised bed, because we got the crates filled. Now all we gotta do is take these crates out and set them in a place and literally plant the starts. I mean, it really is that easy. We're gonna head home. All right, now we're carrying in the compost, and you know, I can carry with 2 fingers. So the stuff, you know, looks nice, easy workout for 2 strong guys. So next we're gonna start actually mineralizing and adding some worm castings to our already good mix to make it better. One of the cool things about using one of the plastic crates to build the garden is that we put the soil in here and we transport it in here. So that's really cool. The bad thing is we got to add some supplemental things that were not in the standard mix that we got. So the first thing we got over here is Rabbit Hill Farms organic worm castings. And the reason why I like the worm castings is not because it's like a really nutrient dense mixture, which we have in the compost. The reason why I like it is because the microbial aspects, like the beneficial microbes in here that are going to now be in your soil and help basically make the nutrients more bioavailable for your plants. So what we're going to do now is we're going to take a blue Solo cup. We ran out of red ones. And all we're going to do is we're going to take a couple scoops of this stuff, and check out this stuff. I mean, this is black gold right here. This is dark, nice, and rich. Wow, this is really castings. And it really doesn't smell like much, but you know, don't tell anybody that this is literally worm poo, especially when you're playing with it. So we're just gonna do like maybe, I don't know, 2.5 scoops on there. And then we're just gonna kind of mix it in with your hands. The other thing we're gonna do, we gotta add to every bin as well, and this is the thing that's super important. If you don't get anything else, I mean, you could leave the worm castings out, but you got to get this one. If you just get the soil and this stuff, you're golden, but I definitely would recommend the worm castings. You want to get this stuff right here. What this stuff is the Minerals Plus. Now I normally get this stuff called azomite or Gaia Green Glacial Rock Dust or some other wide spectrum trace mineral supplementation, but in this area in Houston I wasn't able to find anything like that, but we were able to find the Minerals Plus. So basically, the Minerals Plus is a wide spectrum of different trace minerals, and that's what we're looking for. I mean, all life exists on Earth because of minerals. I mean, as we know, plants are normally fed 3 minerals, N, P, K, but there's a spectrum that should be in the soil that was in the soil before man came, the topsoils were eroded and all this kind of stuff. So when you add the minerals back into the soil, the plants are gonna be healthier, they're gonna produce more, they're gonna taste better, they're gonna be more bug and disease resistant. So in this particular Minerals Plus, it has decomposed granite, sand, lava sand, granite sand, basalt, soft rock phosphate with colloidal clay, humate, green sand, and monomerillite. So, you know, for basically not being able to find anything else, this is pretty good, but I still prefer the rock dust overall. But once again, we're gonna go ahead and add this to each bin, probably like 2.5 cups. Now the general recommendation for when you're adding things like the rock dust or the minerals, you want to add 1 pound per 1 square foot of space. So this crate is about, you know, 2 square feet approximately on the surface, and we're going to add about 2 pounds. And once again, we're just going to go ahead and mix that in along with the worm castings. And if you don't mix this all the way down to the bottom, it's no big deal. You just want to definitely get it mixed in so that it's just not blown away in these strong Houston winds. So once you do that, these are all ready to be planted. As you guys can see, we got all the bins enriched and we got it all set up, and check out, what does it look like? It looks like a raised bed garden made out of crates. And I mean, that's how easy it is to set up a garden. The next thing we're gonna do is that we're just gonna top this off. We got an extra bucket here full of the mix, and we're just gonna top it off, and then all we gotta do is plant the plants, and that's how easy it is to start a garden in your backyard with some crates. We visited several different nurseries to buy the plants we're gonna plant today. Now, before we even get into the plants, one of the things I wanna talk about is, you know, hey John, should I plant my new garden from seed or from the plant starts? So, you know, there's pros and cons to each one, but in general, if you're a new gardener, I highly encourage you guys to plant from the plant starts because it's much easier. Now, if you do want to plant from seeds, it's important to plant the right seeds at the right times. And you might be thinking, John, how do I know what seeds to plant when? Well, what you want to do is you want to find your local extension office. And I found that actually here in the Houston area. And there's actually 2 organizations that can help you. The first one is this. This is actually called the Agri-Life Extension from Texas A&M. They have a vegetable garden planting dates. So this tells you the times you can or should plant your plants. Now, just because it says these dates on here, can you plant plants at other times? Absolutely. Will it work optimally? Probably not, but it might. So you can see here it tells for asparagus crowns, you want to plant them between like mid-January to mid-February. I mean, we could go down here for mustard greens, and you could plant that from all the way from April through July. So through the hot summer there. I mean, you could plant southern peas. That's like April all the way through middle of August, and it's different shading. So it says ideal planting time, marginal planting time. So this is available at many different university extension offices available near you to find your local planting times if you don't know. But in general, if you're buying plant starts at the nursery, they're only going to generally sell you what's good to plant right now. Next also is we have another list from the Agri-Life Extension here at Texas A&M for Harris County, which is where we are in Houston. And this recommends a certain varieties of plants that they've tested that grows fairly well here. So for example, if you're going to grow carrots, they recommend you grow Danvers 126 carrots, Scarlet Nanettes, Bolero, and Vita Sweet. Now these are the ones that they've trial tested and that reliably produce as well. There are many thousands of other varieties of different plant seeds, and I always encourage you guys to try different ones because you may get ones that they didn't test, or you might want to grow red atomic carrots and that's not on the list. Does that mean I can't grow it? Absolutely not. I encourage you guys to try everything and see what the heck happens. You might grow Danvers and the red atomics, and the red atomics might kick the Danvers butt in yield and how well they grow, but more importantly, how well they taste to you when you're eating them, because after all, you're growing your garden to eat, hopefully. So yeah, they have all the different varieties of corn, kale, garlic, and eggplant, cucumbers, peppers, squash, tomatoes that they recommend for this area. So while we did take a look at this list, and we do have actually a couple of the plants they recommended, we also got some cool other plants that actually aren't on their list because they might be rare, different, or unique. So let's go over those next. In this garden, we're planting things that would be considered annual and things that would be considered perennial. So you might be thinking, if you're new in gardening, John, what's annual and what's perennial? Well, the easy way to look at this is annual plant is a plant that you gotta plant every season or every year, and you gotta keep planting it. So for examples, tomatoes are an annual because once it freezes, they're gonna lose their lives and you're gonna have to start over next year. A perennial plant is a plant that you could plant just once and it'll grow day after day, year after year, literally forever until you don't water it or don't take care of it or something happens. Sometimes perennials can also be classified as plants that you plant once and then it actually flowers, goes to seed, drops seeds, and starts regrowing on its own. So we got a good mixture of perennials and annuals in here, and this is important especially because I want my friends here to have food year-round, and some of these things are going to be year-round sources of food, and some are just going to be more of a seasonal for the summer season here. So I guess without further ado, let's get into the different kinds of plants we got. Of course, we got some different basils. We got 4 different varieties of basil. This is a dwarf bush basil. And one of the coolest things was when we were selecting out the plants, I took my friends and I said, hey, there's 6 different kinds, 10 different kinds of basil. Try a little pinch of a leaf and see which one tastes good to you. Because they asked, John, which one should I grow? I'm like, I don't know. Which ones do you like to taste? So they tasted little ones, and all the ones that they like to taste, that's the ones they bought. And that's what you guys might also want to do if you're buying them from the plant starts. So we got 4 different kinds of basil. In addition to the basil, we got some mints. So the mints are going to go in their own specific bin because the mints can actually root out and spread. But in this way, they're going to have little mint leaves to flavor up their smoothies and juices, and even chop it up and put it in a salad. It's definitely going to be good. This is actually a unique one I haven't seen actually. It's called Red Stem Apple Mint. Has a nice color to it. They also have one of my favorite mints called the Chocolate Mint. In addition, some of the herbs they got are things like the oregano. So when I plan out this garden, I'm going to probably plant things in sections. So I'm going to have a section of the garden towards the house, which gets a little bit more shaded out in the late afternoon. with the herbs, and the part that's gonna definitely get the full sun is gonna be like the tomatoes and some of the peppers. As you guys know, I'm really up on my greens. Growing your greens is the name of my channel, and I want you guys to grow your greens because they're the most nutrient-dense foods on the planet. So because it is, later in the springtime here, and it's actually past the ideal time according to planting guides to plant leafy greens, we couldn't actually find any starts. So we did find a few, and those two are actually right here. One they call in this area is called Malabar Spinach, or actually I call it red Malabar Spinach, which many of you guys may have bought the seeds from me. And this is a delicious, edible, succulent, leafy green that's not related to the standard spinach, so it doesn't have the oxalic content that standard spinach does. And we also got sorrel, which actually does have some oxalic acid content. But this is also a delicious leafy green to eat. So those are some leafy greens. In addition, some other things we got were the standard, of course, the peppers, tomatoes. We also got some tomatillos. So the tomatillos already flowering, gonna hopefully put on some fruit pretty soon. And let's see, we're gonna round this out by talking about this guy. This is my favorite oregano. This is actually called the hot and spicy oregano. So this doesn't taste like the standard mountain oregano or hilltop oregano they got. It's a lot more hot and spicy. It's like I like to use this instead of using like hot peppers if I don't have hot peppers. Another thing they got that's really cool is this stuff right here. They actually call this Vietnamese mint, or actually I would call it shiso or perilla, and this is in the mint family. I like this one a lot too. It's actually high in omega-3 fatty acids. And of course we got the cilantro. So check this out. We got 3 different kinds of cilantro. Well, technically 2 different kinds of cilantro. So we got the standard cilantro here, and this is a cilantro confetti. And check out the leaves on that, how like different they look than the standard cilantro. So I always encourage you guys to grow different kinds of the same plant. I mean, we got different varieties of tomatoes. We don't just got all cherry tomatoes. We got like 5 different kinds. Same thing on the cilantro. Now what you'll learn is that you might like one flavor better than the other. They'll probably taste pretty similar. But what you also might learn is that one bolts faster than the other. So that means that, these plants, the cilantro life cycle will be done much quicker than any of the other plants in here. But they bought these 2, and then I found while I was shopping at an Asian market, I found this other one here. And this is my favorite cilantro overall, especially for the summertime, for one main reason. Actually, this is not even cilantro. It's actually called Culantro. So the Culantro here has like some nice jagged leaves. Kind of looks like a weed if you don't know what it is. But these leaves actually taste like the cilantro next door. But these fare far better in the hot summers than these guys, because these guys will burn really fast, and these guys are meant to grow in the tropics, like the summer weather here in Houston with the nice humid weather here. Another herb I like is this one. It's actually called the Cuban Oregano, a nice succulent that should maybe potentially be a perennial down here if it doesn't get too cold. We got this one. It's actually called the Mexican Marigold. And of course my favorite, and I wish I was growing this right now. I should probably take a plant back with me. This is actually called the Go-To Cola. This has a nice unique flavor, and oh man, it's even flowering. That's really cool. The Go-To Cola has a unique flavor, and the Go-To Cola is known more as like a medicinal type herb. If you go to the health food store, they'll sell you Go-To Cola in little pills, and they say this is good for building your memory. But I like to just eat it as like a little salad green, mix a couple of leaves in my salad. This guy is a spreader, so whatever little container I planted in, it may just take over the whole container, which is a good problem to have, because then you'll have endless supply of fresh Go-To Cola leaves. In addition, we got some stevia here. So stevia is the plant that tastes like sugar without the sugar. So if you're diabetic, this is definitely good for you, and I recommend picking this, putting it a little bit in your juice or in the smoothie to make it sweet without adding sugar if you're sugar sensitive. And let's see, the final thing we're going to talk about today is I always like to make the garden look pretty. Now, besides making the garden look pretty with these marigolds here, we're going to interplant these, which may help with the insect challenges. Also, many people don't know that these the marigold leaves are edible. They actually contain lutein and zeaxanthin that are helpful for your eyes. So every time you make a salad, pick a flower petal and sprinkle it all on your salad so you can get some lutein and zeaxanthin in you. Has a unique flavor, and if you're not used to it, you might not like it so much. Just add a few. So I think the next thing we're going to do is I'm going to go ahead and get these guys planted out. I mean, it's not too hard to plant things out. Dig a hole, put it in, cover it back up. Most of the things I'm going to plant at the same level they came with. So say these Cuban oregano, I'm just gonna plant it to the level of soil in there. On something like the tomatoes, you know, I'm gonna actually plant the tomatoes like up to here so that this is gonna root more and grow bigger in the long run. So we'll come back at you when I got this whole project finished. I just finished planting out this whole bed with some help from my friend. And as you can see, everything's nicely and planted out and spaced fairly good. He could have got a few more plants because I'm John Cullen. I like to pack the plants in there and get maximum growth and maximum food out of my garden. But this is his first time gardening, so you know he didn't buy as many plants as I would have bought, but that's all good. Plus the selection was a little bit limited this time of year because we couldn't find a lot of greens, and I really wanted him to plant a lot of greens. So we planted, you know, a lot of herbs that he can use as greens. A lot of them are perennials. We, of course, got the standard tomatoes and peppers and tomatillos, and we got some of the Malabar spinach, which he can eat as a green. But I also want to plant some more greens for him. So we're going to plant arugula, which should pretty much work anywhere, and it's really fast to grow. And I also brought him some of my very special tree collards. So I left one little bin here open, so I'm going to plant the tree collards and the arugula in this bin here. In addition, they wanted to plant some beans, so they got some organic yellow golden wax beans. So, you know, instead of green beans, you got some yellow beans. And, you know, they got different nutrients in there which are beneficial for you. Before I plant out my seeds, the thing I want to talk to you guys about is this raised bed mix. As I had mentioned before and many times on my show, the soil is the most important thing that you want to invest your money in because you want to have the highest quality soil. Not like the soil in the yard here, which is mostly like, man, it's hard as a rock. Probably doesn't have good microbial action in there. And we got the raised bed mix here, which so far so good, but you know, when digging through it, I found a whole bunch of different rocks and things like that. And actually it wouldn't bother me if it was just rocks, but some of this stuff looks like it's actually like broken up concrete, which is actually rather interesting there. Now some rocks would be acceptable to me, but you know, these are far too large of rocks to be having in a raised bed mix. They're probably just filling old aggregate material in there to like dilute it down to make it cheaper to produce. But nonetheless, I want to go ahead and read you guys what's in this premium raised bed and square foot garden soil. It says, lightweight and custom designed for growing in raised beds and creating amazing edible gardens. Perfect for planting veggies, fruits, herbs, annuals, and perennials. Create ultimate raised beds, grow in planters, top dress raised gardens, build an edible garden, introduce new plants, transplant or propagate 1 cubic foot bag or in bulk. And they have a little coating system here with little different colored dots, which means it contains certain things. So the premium raised and square foot garden soil contains handcrafted vegan compost, dark aged pine bark, signature expanded shale, large grain angular sand, coconut fiber, vermiculite, special reserved green sand, and finally the microbial foods and essential minerals. So, you know, I think overall that sounds like a really good mix. I wish I saw the assay on it. I mean, just after working with this stuff, I kind of still prefer my Sonoma compost. I'm a Westie at heart, for those of you guys that know what I mean. But I'm happy that my friend was able to get this stuff because this mixture here is far better than any mixture that you'd find at like a big box store, Home Depot, or anything like that. And I always encourage you guys to support local companies. Nonetheless, I wish they were a little bit friendlier when we picked up all this material here. As you guys can see, I got done planting out the seeds, planted the plant starts, and I watered them in, and it's all ready to go. Actually, I gotta jet off and I gotta catch my flight back to the West Coast here. But I want to let you guys know that there is always a way to grow a garden today. Hey, that's a poet, and I didn't know it. But anyways, what we used today were these standard plastic crates, and we produced the garden as you see right behind me. Now, if you didn't look really close at it, it might just look like a standard raised bed, and you know, this was free material. And the coolest thing is, because my friend here rents, he can literally pick up each bin, carry it with him when he moves to have his garden have a portable garden. So I think that's totally amazing. The other thing is that this was a free resource. Whether you want to check Craigslist, check behind grocery stores, or ask at Mexican restaurants for some of the produce, or go to the produce terminal to see if they're just disposing of these plastic crates, you can get some crates, fill it up, and start growing in it. Whether you have a patio or a full-on backyard, hopefully next trip I come back, he has rows and rows of these, and this will be the backyard crate garden. And it was inspired by me. So, you know, I always enjoy bringing you new and different ways of thinking, new and different ways of growing foods, and hopefully this was inspiring to you to let you know that there's always a way to grow some food at home, because I definitely believe that everybody should be growing at least a small portion of their food at home instead of depending on the system for your food. Once again, my name is John Kohler with GrowingYourGreens.com. We'll see you next time, and remember, keep on growing.